Today on Dr. Epic's never-ending crusade to review every single byte and bit of the Mass Effect series, we will be looking at Mass Effect's hacking mechanics and rating which game did it best. Let's not waste time, let's go.
He's the most powerful hacker of all time.
But first, thank you for clicking. First up is Mass Effect 1. For this review, I will look at how well the hacking is implemented in the game and if it complements the overall game experience. The good old days where you could just slap Omnigel on everything. We all know the mechanics of the Mass Effect 1 hacking. Depending on whether you play on PC or console, you get a minigame involving rotating concentric rings and a Simon Says type minigame on PC and console respectively. While hacking, the game is frozen in time elsewhere, leaving you perfectly safe to attempt the hack, without fear of being shot. In Mass Effect 1, you need to have the right skills to even attempt a hack. That is, a high enough level in the talents, electronics or decryption, depending on what object you're trying to hack into. In Mass Effect 1 you can hack or bypass just about anything. You can even hack minerals, possibly a pun on the similarity in terminology between computer hacking and pickaxe hacking. Very funny. In totality, you can hack crates, minerals and doors. You usually get a lot of loot, which there is a lot of in Mass Effect 1. And sometimes you get some text or something related to a quest or mission. Loot is important in Mass Effect 1, and you usually get an abundance of it if you just look around a little, allowing you to save credits for bigger things like the Spectre weapons, for instance. Should you fail the hack, you can attempt to override it with Omnigel, essentially a cheat code to get the goods. To attempt Omnigel application, you have to have as high electronics or decryption as you needed to attempt the manual hack. In the OG game, Mass Effect 1, when you failed a hack, the only way forward was to use Omnigel. In the Legendary Edition, however, you can try manually as many times as you like, without having to resort to Omnigel. How do you get Omnigel though? Well, by converting loot into it. This ties into the whole looting mechanic of Mass Effect 1, connecting the two intricately in a natural way. Another connection is the connection to your choice of squad mates. You can only choose two, and if you don't, they can offer electronics or decryption for you, further affecting how you strategize to play the game in the way you see best. This will impact how you bond with different characters in the franchise. As you can see, hacking in Mass Effect 1 is vitally integrated with the overall Mass Effect 1 experience, through talent mastery and leveling, looting, resource management, and even your selection of squad mates. I believe Mass Effect 1 hacking complements Mass Effect 1, at least as an RPG, giving more customization to the experience. As an action shooter, it slows down the game tremendously, but I don't personally believe that Mass Effect, certainly not Mass Effect 1, is primarily an action shooter. I will give Mass Effect 1 hacking a 4 out of 4. I really enjoyed it and I felt it fit well with the Mass Effect experience. Next up is Mass Effect 2. Hacking, here used as a wide umbrella term, changed drastically between Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2. It's no longer tied to skills, talents or squad mates. Shepard can, regardless of predetermined abilities, class or skill, hack and bypass anything.
There's always a way in.
If you successfully complete the relevant minigames. Another drastic change is how time isn't frozen while you're hacking. If you take damage, you are thrust out of the hacking seance, and depending on the object you're hacking, you might not get a second chance to hack it again. To spice things up, Mass Effect 2 introduces two separate minigames, which are identical on PC and console, save for using a cursor instead of a controller sticks, of course. A further new mechanic is that the loot will decrease the longer time you use on your hacking
I'll
attempt.
suck the internet dry.
That is, if the loot is credits. If the timer reaches 0, you essentially fail the hacking attempt as well. The loot in Mass Effect 2 is nearly always simply credits, though sometimes an upgrade for you, or your team, or the Normandy. The integration of hacking in Mass Effect 2 is far more detached in Mass Effect 2 than in Mass Effect 1, but you can find and purchase modules, basically upgrades for Shepard to extend your allotted time to hack and bypass a given object. Mass Effect 2 hacking is far more streamlined than in Mass Effect 1. You can no longer use Omnigel to cheat through the hacking when you're tired of the minigames. And as Liara famously said, that security upgrade left a lot of people unhappy. If Mass Effect 2 hacking had an Omnigel or some equivalent, I think it would have been better. Because I appreciate the more exciting minigames, but sometimes you just don't want the hassle, you know? I further think it's sad that they removed the role hacking used to have in Mass Effect 1, where it's something you had to plan around in regards to your class, looting, resource management, and squadmate leveling and selection. Mass Effect 2 is known largely for streamlining Mass Effect into a more action shooter type direction, which for many aspects works for the better of the series, but in many also I think we lost some of the magic of the RPG elements of Mass Effect 1. All in all, I give Mass Effect 2 hacking a 2 out of 4.
No system is safe.
Next up is Mass Effect 3. To talk about streamlining, in Mass Effect 3 they, for all intents and purposes, have done completely away with the hacking mechanic. It's reduced to being a longer door opening animation. That is literally all it is. This was likely an overcorrection to the outrage towards the removal of Omnigel in Mass Effect 2, and of course a consequence of further focus on Mass Effect as an action shooter, something which is prevalent across all of Mass Effect 3's elements, really. So, shortly and bluntly, I'll give Mass Effect 3's hacking a 1 out of 4.
Just don't hurt my computer!
Of course, if you hate hacking in Mass Effect 3 will be a 10 out of 10 in regards to hacking mechanics. I personally think it's a neat piece of the RPG dynamics if used correctly. Next up is Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda goes a little bit in the other direction as opposed to Mass Effect 3. Like the focus on exploring new and unknown worlds of Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect Andromeda tends to bring back hacking to the Mass Effect formula. Though hacking is not nearly as prevalent as in Mass Effect 1 or Mass Effect 2, you do have to complete some minigames to use the sometimes plot-necessary Remnant technology, especially the vaults. Rewards include story progression, loot, and skill points. The mechanics of the hacking are, like many have discovered, simply, literally, Sudoku. Like many people, I had never played Sudoku before Andromeda, and if you think about it, it's kind of funny how these awe-inspiring, unfathomably intelligent, long-gone alien creatures decided to code Sudoku into every one of their most important technologies that alter entire planetary ecosystems. From a lore standpoint and gameplay standpoint, I get this is likely just visualization to get across the point that Sam is doing most of the work, but Ryder also has to do something. And I guess the devs landed on Sudoku, naturally. Sudoku is good for your brain, and there's really nothing inherently more stupid in playing Sudoku on Mass Effect than playing Simon Says and Towers of Hanoi in Mass Effect 1. What happens if you fail on Andromeda hacking? Well, then Remnant troops will show up and try and kill you, so you have to fight them off. This is, in and itself, cool and all, and it makes sense, I guess. But I found it really annoying, the times that my small brain struggled with a simple freaking Sudoku puzzle, and now I had to fight off these robots every time as well. There is no Omnigel in Andromeda, but you can acquire so-called Remnant decryption keys if you have enough money and resources, as they are very rare and expensive. These work essentially identical to Omnigel. How does the Andromeda hacking implement into the core experience? I personally thought it worked well. It brings back the minigames that I long missed, with new mechanics, and they are also brought back Omnigel, essentially. Though I wished it was more readily available. You don't have to hack as much as in Mass Effect 1 or Mass Effect 2, which I thought was a nice and fair balance they managed to achieve between Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect 1's hacking philosophies. All in all, I don't think Mass Effect Andromeda hacking is bothering anyone too much. I see a lot of people hating Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 hacking and installing mods to never see it again. But again, I like the implementation of hacking in Mass Effect 1, even with several playthroughs. Because I like to, break up the pace of the game more, and though, of course, some people hate it, feels like it slows the game down. That's understandable, of course. I think Mass Effect Andromeda struck a good balance, but I liked Mass Effect 1's integration into other systems of the game, like leveling and squad mates, like I said earlier. For that reason, Mass Effect Andromeda's hacking gets a 3 out of 4.
Your work is appreciated. Well done.
So that's the final tally. Do you agree or disagree? Do you hate hacking in Mass Effect, or do you enjoy it for what it is? Do you want hacking to return in Mass Effect 4? If so, in what way? I'll let you ponder these questions a little bit, and I'll venture into the comments to be roasted alive like every time I accidentally compliment Mass Effect Andromeda on something.